He resisted arrest, a struggle ensued, and he was shot.
This is Star City News, live at 5.
Welcome to Star City News. I'm Michael Shively.
And I'm Brent Bonfleur. Tonight we're following a developing story as a man was shot and killed by a police officer in North Lincoln. We have Amsley Sankbile live on the scene with more on the shooting. Amsley?
Yes, that's right. I am here at the Motel 6 where the shooting happened earlier today. Now, when I arrived on scene, I saw different officers blocking off different parts of the parking lot, conducting interviews, and trying to just figure out what had just happened. Now, there was a presser just a little bit ago, and this is what Sheriff Wagner had to say.
He resisted arrest, a struggle ensued, and he was shot. A handgun has been recovered from his vehicle at the scene. Hubbard was pronounced dead at Bryan West Emergency Room, and no law enforcement officers were injured.
Officers saw 34-year-old Tyson Hubbard leaving the motel. He was contacted by officers as he was getting into his vehicle. Sheriff Wagner says that Hubbard resisted arrest and was getting into an argument with officers. It was at this time that the shots were fired and Hubbard was transported to Bryan West Hospital. He was then pronounced dead at the scene. Now, a little bit more information on Hubbard's warrant. This was from an assault back in January. Hubbard had used a cordless drill to beat another individual. That individual was hospitalized, and then he also received stitches. That warranted for a second-degree arrest and his warrant. Reporting for Star City News, I'm Amsley Sankbile.
Thanks, Amsley. His name was released in a press conference earlier this afternoon. Tyson Hubbard, a 34-year-old from Omaha, was wanted for second-degree assault. We have his information, but not his mugshot, as sheriffs are not releasing his photo, although I think we just got it moments ago.
The family of Michael Brown announced plans to file a civil lawsuit regarding their son's death today. The lawsuit will name both the city of Ferguson and former officer Darren Wilson as defendants. The Brown family's attorney, Anthony Gray, is optimistic they can get a favorable ruling in a civil case after failing in the criminal courts.
We realize also that the burden of proof for the federal and the state investigations is far different than a burden of proof in a civil case.
The announcement follows yesterday's release of the Ferguson report by the U.S. Department of Justice. The report included data showing Ferguson police overwhelmingly targeting African Americans and detailed specific instances of racism.
Lincoln is looking to increase taxes in order to update equipment for the police and fire departments. Star City's Rachel Hofstra has more.
Lincoln's safety is outdated and in need of an update. The Lincoln Police Department is looking into getting new radios, which Tom Cassidy says is extremely important to the public.
The system is critical to public safety here in Lincoln. It's how our 911 dispatchers communicate with our first responders in the field. It's how those first responders communicate with one another. And although it's served us very, very well for the past 27 years, it's now become obsolete and it must be replaced.
The radio inside these vehicles were installed in 1987. Last year alone, they were used 5 million times. City officials are looking for a way to update these systems. The radio system we currently use is no longer sold, and Julie Ryder-Dove worries that it is only a matter of time before the system fails.
All of the vendor support for our current system will end in 2017, and our ability to maintain the system and to get parts for that system will continue to diminish as we go along.
A sales tax increase has been proposed that would raise a 4-person household with an income of $60,000 by about $45 a year. If the tax is approved, it will raise around $34 million, and about $20 million of that will fund the new radio system. Reporting for Star City News, I'm Rachel Hofstra.
Thanks, Rachel. Officials also hope to use the tax money to expand the fire department and add 2 new stations. When we come back, Star City's Ingrid Holmquist will have a look at some senators' attempt to legalize medical marijuana in Nebraska.
23 states have legalized marijuana for medical use, and a bill being discussed in a hearing at the Capitol tomorrow could make Nebraska the next to do so.
Star City's Ingrid Holmquist is live with more.
$20 million. That's how much it costs Nebraska every year.
Lincoln safety is outdated and in need of an update. The Lincoln Police Department.
First and foremost, it's about being compassionate for caring for people who are sick and ailing.
This is how Senator Tommy Garrett describes his proposed bill, the Cannabis Compassion and Care Act. The bill would make medicinal marijuana legal in Nebraska. Senator Garrett says he has a personal stake in this bill.
My father-in-law, back in 1978, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. My sister-in-law went out and acquired him some marijuana, and it did exactly what the doctor told him.
Attorney General Doug Peterson says legalizing marijuana would negatively impact the state.
I see families who have been affected by marijuana in a harmful way.
The lack of FDA approval of medicinal marijuana comes up often in this discussion.
And if we wait for the FDA, Hades will freeze over before we get anything out of Washington, D.C. And in the meantime, people are suffering, people are hurting.
Our position is if you can show solid objective medical evidence, then you should be able to go either through the FDA.
I spoke with Shelley Gillen about how medicinal marijuana could influence her family.
Will has a rare seizure disorder called Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. He's had seizures every day of his life since he was 4 months old. Because he has failed all medical treatments available to him from doctors, medical cannabis would offer him another option.
Along with seizure disorders like Will's, medicinal marijuana could improve the living conditions of those with Crohn's disease, glaucoma, Huntington disease, and others.
Delaware, the District of Columbia, Hawaii.
Senator Garrett thinks it's time Nebraska joins the ranks of the 24 other states with legalized medicinal cannabis.
You know, let's not be the last ones to get on board because, again, at the end of the day, this is about helping people who are hurting and have no other options.
But I think the prudent thing for lawmakers to do is wait 3 to 5 years and just
It's hard to say, but Senator Garrett seems optimistic about the bill. He has possible.
All right, thanks, Ingrid. We go now to Devin Cleach, who has a report from Pinnacle Bank Arena on the high school girls state basketball tournament.
I'm Devin Cleach here, and we got sports here at Pinnacle Bank Arena with the Nebraska Girls State Basketball Tournament. It's been a fun day, a great atmosphere, but the top teams from across the state will be fighting for state title. PBA will be hosting Class A and B games. C1 will be playing at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. And C2, D1, and D2 will be playing at local area high schools. But all the state championships will be back here at Pinnacle Bank Arena on Saturday. After a first round bye, the Nebraska women's basketball team will be taking on Illinois tonight. The 7th-seeded Huskers will look to advance without star point guard Rachel Theriault. 10th-seeded Fighting Illini and Shatrice White aim for their first victory over Nebraska this season. After 2 close games, tonight's matchup will be at 6 p.m. at the Sears Center Arena. Nebraska baseball heads south this weekend to the Houston College Classic before coming back for their home opener at Hawks Field. The 6-4 Huskers are playing well, entering a weekend where they're going to be facing their best competition this season. They will take on the 14th-ranked Texas A&M Aggies, Hawaii, and the number 7 LSU Tigers. The series sets up a 16-game homestand beginning Tuesday. Nebraska faces the Aggies on Friday at 3:35 at Minute Maid Park. For more on girls state basketball and the women's Big Ten tournament, follow us on Twitter at Star City News 2015. That's it from Pinnacle Bank Arena. I'm Devin Cleach reporting for Star City News.
Second round games continue tomorrow, and the tournament will wrap up on Saturday. We'd also like to apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced earlier.
Lincoln Youth baseball coach and UNL professor Jeff Hawks pled not guilty today to charges of sexually abusing a 12-year-old boy. Hawks is accused of sexually abusing the boy during private baseball training lessons. Hawks was the board president of the Lincoln Sox baseball team, but is not with the organization anymore. Hawks has been working at UNL since 2011, but is reassigned to faculty duties that don't deal with students. He will face a trial in the coming months.
The U.S. has so much oil that we're running out of places to store it. About 1 million barrels on average a day are going unused. So what does that mean for gas prices? Well, experts say the price per barrel could drop from $50 all the way down to $20. According to AAA, the national average is $2.44 per gallon. Lincoln's average is about 2 cents less. Despite the surplus, prices at the pump rose 46 cents over the past month.
You know, Brent, not only were those gas prices rising this past week, it's also been really cold.
Yeah, you're right. It's been rough, but it looks like we might be getting some warmer weather with daylight savings time this week.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to go to Cody Carlin, who has more on the history of daylight savings time.
Daylight savings time is a sure sign that spring is right around the corner. This weekend, make sure that you set your clocks ahead 1 hour before going to bed on Saturday night. Sunrise and sunset will be an hour later, so that means that you will have an extra hour of daylight after your workday. For Star City News, I'm Cody Carlin. After the break, Audra Moore will have your local weather forecast.
And now, a look at the forecast with Star City Weather.
Good evening, Lincoln. I'm Audra Moore with your Star City weather. Let's take a look at our current conditions right now. 33 degrees in Lincoln. Feels like 25 though. Those winds are out of the south at about 10 miles per hour. Makes it a little chilly. We have a little bit of a wind chill to deal with, but not quite like we saw yesterday. We'll take a look at our almanac. Our low, we did dip below zero just for a little bit last night, but we were able to come back up. Our high today is 34. Not quite our high average that we've seen, but we're going to get there this weekend if we just hold out for it. We'll take a look at our current temperatures across the state. It's warmer out in the western part as that warm front has already moved through. We'll see that later tonight. 45 in North Platte, 47 out in McCook, 39 in Broken Bow. As we head across to the eastern part of the state, Omaha is at 25, Columbus at 30, Lincoln is at 33 degrees right now. Tonight our low, 23 degrees, partly cloudy. Those clouds though are going to keep our temperatures from going too low, which will be nice. We'll be able to warm up nicely for tomorrow. The winds will still be out of the south about 5 to 10 miles per hour as we head through the evening. 31 is your 6 p.m. forecast temperature, 27 by 9 p.m., 26 by midnight, and we'll hold steady fairly well, 24 by 3 a.m., and 6 a.m. tomorrow morning as you're getting ready to head to work, 23 degrees. If we look at tomorrow, our high is 54, mostly sunny. We'll see a few clouds hang around, but mostly sunshine tomorrow. Winds are going to be about 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the southwest. That warm air is going to be coming in. And as we get into noon tomorrow, 47 degrees, 54 by 3 p.m. when we hit our high, 47 by 6 p.m. as you're heading home from work for the evening. As we get a week ahead, Saturday, 56, also a 56 on Sunday. Don't forget to turn your clocks ahead 1 hour for daylight savings time before you go to sleep Saturday night. Monday, we're looking at a high of 61, 65 for Tuesday as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. 63 Wednesday, a little bit of a cool down for Thursday, a high of 55. Still beautiful temperatures. Looks like a great weekend. Brent and Michael, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Audra. Now we'll step away from the Nebraska news and weather and look at what's happening across the nation.
For the first time in nearly 5 years, President Obama used his veto power to halt the Keystone XL pipeline project. Senators failed to override the veto on Wednesday, but is that the end of the pipeline? For now, the answer is yes. The bill will go back to Congress, where Republicans might attach the legislation to a separate transportation funding bill. The co-sponsor of the bill, John Hoeven, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell say it's likely Obama won't veto that bill, despite his promises to stop the Keystone Pipeline from being built. The deadline for the approval of the transportation bill is March 31st.
Obamacare faces another challenge in the Supreme Courts. This time, plaintiffs are attacking specific language in the law that says healthcare marketplaces must be established by the states. If this part of the law is proved to be unconstitutional, 34 states will lose federal healthcare subsidies, effectively dismantling the law entirely. Hearings began yesterday, and a ruling isn't expected until June.
After 2.5 hours of surgery to repair knife wounds to his face, U.S. Ambassador to South Korea Mark Lippert is in stable condition. Lippert was walking to a breakfast forum yesterday morning in Seoul when he was attacked. Police identified Lippert's attacker as 55-year-old Kim Ki-jong. Kim was given a suspended jail term in 2010 after he threw pieces of concrete at the Japanese ambassador to South Korea. Police officials say they are considering charging him with attempted homicide.
A Lincolnite is nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. David Gass will have the story in U-News when we come back.
My name's David Gass, and here's your university news. The international percussion group known as Stomp is returning to UNL. Tomorrow, the group will start their 3-show stop at the Lead Center. The group's been nationally recognized for their energetic performances, turning both industrial and household objects into musical instruments. Stomp is scheduled to perform their first show at 7:30 p.m. A Lincoln undergrad has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Former police investigator Catherine Bulkovac is being recognized for her work back in 1999 when she went to Bosnia as a private contractor for the United Nations. During her time there, she discovered evidence of human sex trafficking by government contractors and brought that information to light through a book and film release. Bulkovac says that between her 5 grandchildren and finishing up her degree, she won't have much time to worry about the nomination, but she says the winners will be announced in early October. Construction of UNL's new College of Business is scheduled to start later this spring. The $84 million, 240,000 square foot CBA building is the largest academic building project in recent history at the university. The new structure comes as a celebration of the college's 100-year legacy of educating business leaders and as an initiative of Harvey Perlman's efforts to impact the college's ability to recruit top students and faculty. The new CBA building is expected to open in fall of 2017. That's all I have today for your U-News. For Star City, this has been David Gass.
Thanks, David. Brent, I'm excited to see that new CBA building in a couple of years.
Yeah, the university has all these great projects planned, but it seems like none of them are going to be done until after we graduate.
Yeah, they're planning everything just 2 or 3 years too late. Just like that new fight announced, Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, a couple years past their prime now.
Yeah, I'm just glad they're actually going to get to the fight. Let's go to Dustin Hoffman, who has more on the big bout in his entertainment segment.
Welcome to your entertainment news. I'm Dustin Hoffman. The Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao fight has reached new heights. The average tickets are on sale for over $100,000. Celebs like Will Smith, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Rihanna are looking for front row tickets of their own. They can get free seats by becoming walking billboards. These celebs can endorse companies by wearing their logos and gear at the fight. Companies like Coconut Water have already made offers. Leonardo DiCaprio is offering to rent out his Palm Spring estate. You can stay there for $4,500 a night, but have to be there for at least 2 nights. The 7,022 square foot place has 6 bedrooms, a swimming pool, and a tennis court. He bought the property last year for $5.23 million and is trying his hand as a landlord. For around $700,000, you can have a town from the show The Walking Dead for your own. 9 buildings in downtown Grantville, Georgia are on sale on eBay. The town was a setting for the episode Clear during Season 3. In upcoming months, 4 movies are slated to be shot there. That's all for your entertainment news. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Now let's go back to Brent and Michael.
All right, thanks, Dustin. Michael, I know you're a big LA Clippers fan. Did you see how that game ended last night?
Yeah, I saw the highlight. It was pretty depressing. I don't really want to see that one again.
Yeah, well, you're going to get the privilege of seeing it again in our next segment. Here's Tanner Westerholt with social media.
Welcome to Social Media News, where you can find what's trending on social media. I'm Taryn Westerholt. The biggest event trending on social media is the accident occurred on LaGuardia Airport in New York, where a plane from Atlanta to New York crashed while landing. Snow and icing conditions were the reasons why the Delta plane slid off the runway and crashed just meters from open water. All 127 passengers on the plane were removed and no major injuries have been reported. One documentary is creating massive outcry that resulted in an entire country banning the film from showing. India's Daughter is a story about the rape and murder of a 23-year-old woman on a public bus by 6 men in India. The film illustrates the harsh treatment women experience in the country. The company that made the film, BBC, released the film early and is receiving threats from India to remove the film. Chris Paul's anger is also trending on Twitter as the Los Angeles Clippers lost to Portland Trail Blazers yesterday. What made Chris Paul decide to yell at his own teammate? Well, with less than a second left, the game was tied when DeAndre Jordan rebounded and missed. Instead of putting up the game winner, he chose to hang on to the ball until time ran out. Jordan's blunder has led to several tweets involving the mistake and Chris Paul screaming. If you want to find more social media news, follow us on Twitter at Star City News 15. I'm Taryn Westerholt. Now let's go back to Michael and Brent.
Thanks, Tanner, and you guys really just had to show that Clippers highlight just one more time.
Well, you know I'm a Nuggets fan. They're both in the West. Come on, we gotta
a little friendly
gotta get the
rivalry.
jabs in when you can.
Yeah, but they're lucky that plane in LaGuardia didn't go any further. That could have been bad.
That? Yeah, I mean I fly pretty frequently, and luckily never had anything happen like that. But you know what I'm still a little bit hung up on is that shooting earlier today.
Right, that's the first one in a long time here in Lincoln. And as a recap, our top story tonight was the first police shooting since May of last year.
Officers arrived at the Motel 6 on North 27th Street to deliver an arrest warrant to Tyson Hubbard of Omaha. Situation escalated and the officer shot Hubbard in the chest.
CPR was performed on the suspect and he was transported to a Lincoln hospital where he died.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced yesterday that New York public schools will add 2 Muslim holidays to their vacation calendars. Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, 2 of the most sacred days in the Islamic calendar, are the ones that will be observed.
De Blasio says it's a common sense change that will help reflect the diversity of the city as well as the world's largest school district. New York public schools already give days off for some Jewish and Christian holidays.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind having a couple more days off a year.
Yeah, that's always good when you're going through the public schools.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, that's all we have time for in tonight's newscast. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
Good night.